Hi, Samara. How are you?
I'm all right. It's been a weekend.
Yeah. It's so Monday's always tough.
Yeah. Last week, I'm setting up my own production space this month. And last week, all of the critical things worked with basically testing on a batch of water. And then yesterday, I came in to do a trial batch, and all four critical things that I had previously successfully tested, they're all malfunctioning.
Oh my goodness, what happened?
Don't know.
Oh God,
Not
that's
know.
terrible.
So, like, I do have technicians coming and going this morning. So, on me.
Wow, bummer. Hey, Branson, how are you?
I'm fine. How about yourself, sir?
Good. Haven't seen you in a while. You doing okay?
Yeah, I'm getting back from this accident, and last week I had a wisdom tooth come in. Um,
Oh,
so I found out at a late age that having a wisdom come in teeth late is not a good thing for an adult male. So I was going through that pain. Last week I kind of had to lay low until I could get everything fixed. Um,
okay.
I look like a chipmunk.
Hey, you ought to do some music. Alvin and the Chipmunks. Remember those guys?
Oh yeah. I might do that.
That'd be funny. I always liked Alvin. Alvin. Okay. uh, well, welcome. Good to see you again.
Let's see if I bring the camera on. Uh, duh, 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 duh.
While we're waiting for other folks, one of the things that I posted on the Facebook group is a retail calendar. I don't know if you all saw that.
Yes, I got that.
Yeah, it's really handy for kind of figuring out your marketing promotions and all that kind of stuff. So check it out if you can.
I didn't see a Facebook group invite or anything along those lines.
Here, just real quick, give me your email and I'll be sure to send it again. I sent it to the whole group, or I tried to, but who knows what happened. What's your
Sure.
email, Sarah?
It spells Brew Naturals, BREWNTURALS at Gmail.
I'm sorry, one more time. I'm a little slow. BRE.
WNAURLS. It just spells Brew Naturals at gmail.com.
Gotcha. Okay, and I'll send that again so that you can. It's a private Facebook group just for this class.
Yeah.
So it's a good place for things I run across. Instead of trying to email and spam everybody, I just try to post it on there. So I'll be sure that you get invited to that. But it's a calendar that's put out by one of the software companies, and it lays out the whole year. It has all the holidays, all that kind of stuff. So it's just a handy little thing to have. Morning, everybody. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Con.
Morning.
Hey, Ryan. How are you?
Doing well, if you are.
Yeah, no complaints. All right, so we'll have more folks showing up, I'm sure. So, but I'm gonna go ahead and start because I've got a couple of things to go over here. So let me do this. Okay, so one of the things that we talked about last week was this whole idea of developing your own first party data, right? So some of us, many people in this class in the last couple of years have used, for example, Facebook a lot for advertising, or Instagram, or even TikTok or whatever. But the idea is, to get new customers, and the let's see, some more people coming out here. So get more people to your place, but ultimately the third party, Facebook or whatever, controls your data. So what happened is, if you recall, I told you the story about Sana with One Eats, who's in our class, was in our class, and she found herself going from $10 a day for her ads to 150, and she just couldn't do it anymore. And for 2 years, she was just getting tons of business from the ads, and then it all came to a stop. So all of that information, all that data, other than if somebody actually bought from her, she never got any of that information, for herself. So, it's something to, let's see, I'm sorry, people are joining here. Let me see what's going on. Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go. I'll figure this out sooner or later. I miss Grant, my intern, very much. He's not available yet, hopefully later in the semester, but I have more appreciation now for all the stuff he did to keep this thing. Okay, so
She said you lost her charge.
okay, so there we go. All right, so anyway, I started talking about how are different people or different social media folks, going about solving this problem. How do you develop data for yourself? How do you get customers and information for yourself? So I told you all the story of this guy in Pittsburgh who's a chef who now has 3 million followers on TikTok. Kind of defeats my purpose of saying, get your own data, but having lots of people to talk to is not a bad thing. So we're going to look at a short video, which is an example of how this guy, how he goes about doing like a TV appearance or a radio interview, any of that kind of stuff. So I want to see an example. This is short, and then we're gonna look at something a little bit longer as an interview where he gets in much more in depth as to why he's doing what he's doing and how it's benefited him. So hang on here, and we'll give this a try. Okay, here. Okay, hopefully everyone can see that okay. Is that full screen, everybody? Okay,
Yes,
great.
me.
Okay, here we go. So this guy is, let's see if I can figure this out anyway.
To show us all of the possibilities, and I have.
Okay, here we go.
Welcome back, everybody. A veteran Steel City chef is taking social media by storm, one outrageously staged TikTok video at a time.
He's now amassed nearly 3 million followers, and his colorful take on noodles has people all over the country taking note. Chef and content creator Ryan Peters is here to show us all of the possibilities. And I have to tell you, we've had you here on PTL before.
Yeah.
You've worked at a number of restaurants.
I just want to make one point here. She introduced him as chef and content creator. She didn't say entrepreneur. She didn't say, seller of pasta or whatever. It was content creator. And that's something that you're going to be hearing more and more about all the time as it becomes much more common.
Restaurants in the Pittsburgh area, but you have really created your own brand here by doing this.
Yeah, it's kind of came out of nowhere. I just kind of posted some stuff on TikTok and got lucky, and literally changed my life, and it's become a full-time job that's allowed me to travel the country just making pasta and sharing my passion.
A lot of it is centered around the egg pour.
Yeah, the egg pour. I mean, there's literally hundreds of millions of views of just me pouring the eggs that people go crazy for. So David's going to try it here. He's going to see. No one has screwed it up yet.
Okay, now what do you have to do?
So look, we're
what do
watching
you do?
some video of various places you've been to do this.
Yeah, literally all over the country in the craziest of places with some, mascots, athletes, celebrities, all kinds of stuff. And yeah, it's just kind of taken on a life of its own and spiraled out of control to places I never would have imagined.
On top of the Empire State Building.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
That's just wild.
That was a lot of fun. That was cool.
All right, so you've created this perfect little circle of flour.
I've created the well of flour. So most people don't realize that you really only need either flour and water or flour and eggs to make pasta dough. I like to use just egg yolks. You can use the whole egg, but I like the richness of the dough. And so this is clearly a lot of egg yolks.
It
How many,
is.
how many
This
eggs?
is 4
going-
dozen.
4 dozen
Yeah, this
egg
is a
yolks.
small batch for me though. Usually I'm doing like 80 or 90 eggs.
Are there any? How do you keep the shells out when you're cracking that many
So
eggs?
I crack all the eggs into a bowl and then I just kind of fish out all the yolks.
He's a
It's a little
professional.
messy, but
He knows what he's doing. All
Yeah.
right, do I just pour these in?
yeah,
on
go
the
ahead
video?
and pour
Okay.
those in there.
Okay. Oh, I'm kind of nervous.
No, you're a professional.
Okay, all right, now.
There you
Yeah,
go.
and then Heather, if you
Look
want to
at
stir
that.
them up a little bit,
It is a thing of beauty, though. That
Yeah.
okay, so we're stirring this, and then do you slowly start to take
then you
the well
slowly
of flour?
start kind of bringing the well in together without letting it kind of break and collapse, and then you have a huge mess on your hands. But yeah, it's I mean a great thing to kind of get the family involved too. My son, I have a almost 2-year-old. He kind of just
Aw.
plays around and makes a mess, but it's fun and it's a good. I mean, it's a good workout too. I mean, pasta dough when you're making it, it should take like 15 minutes. It's an arm workout.
It,
you know?
it is. I can feel that already.
Yeah, yeah.
And so this is going to wind up looking like this?
It should look like this ball of dough here at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So recently you were at PNC Park, so you got to stay a little closer to home.
Yeah, I haven't done the Pirates until about a week or 2 ago. That was high on my list of one to do, and I finally knocked that off the list. So that was a fun one.
And so you are for one day the official pasta maker at
Yeah,
PNC
yeah.
Park.
I'm just signing one-day contracts all over the place.
Yeah, it's kind of cool because you're doing this with sports teams.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you've made the first TikTok video,
Yeah.
did you have any idea it would take off like this?
No idea. No idea.
And this, you're doing, oh my gosh, wait, it's leaking
I
over
know,
here.
I know. I'm
You've got a
trying
breach in the
not to
wall.
make
You've got a
it.
breach in the
I got
wall.
a breach in the wall. I'm trying to recreate the wall, but it's
Yeah.
not.
You know what
really
this reminds me
stable.
of? Like when you were
Yeah.
a kid with mashed potatoes and gravy and you'd make like a well of
Yeah,
the gravy
yeah,
and
little
play with the
volcano.
food.
Yeah.
So we're
yeah.
trying. I got holes all over the place now.
Yeah.
I think you're doing great,
So
Heather.
one of the
It's your
other things
first time.
you've done too is, in addition to doing the egg pour and that really taking off, you're doing a lot
Yeah.
of really colorful pastas.
Again, just a quick observation. So what he's doing, he's just standing there, and the other people are engaged with the demonstration, which I think is a pretty critical piece. But he's also making it fun, right? Like they just said, remember when you were a kid and you had mashed potatoes, you made a little well for the gravy. I remember that. Probably many of you do. So this isn't technical. It's very, I guess, practical, if you will. But his style is very effective at engaging. In this case, these two TV personalities. But these are just little observations that I've had watching this a few times.
Yeah, the colorful pastas have been fun. People really enjoy that. I'm using all different like natural ingredients to make the colors and just kind of have fun with making pasta and making it, a lot more relatable than just a box of pasta that you buy in the store.
Well, and it's easy to make, and you're going to roll some
Right.
out for us,
yeah,
right?
so once you would
wanna
make
try
that
this?
ball of dough,
Sure.
you would just then roll it out, and then you can make literally, there's hundreds and hundreds of different pasta shapes that you can make. And, fresh pasta is, if people haven't had the opportunity to make fresh pasta and eat fresh pasta, it's a world of difference. And
You know what, Ryan, you make it look simple. Like it seems much more simple than what I imagined.
Yeah.
Right.
There's an art to it, but people can do it at home.
yeah,
Right?
it's so much easier. People are intimidated by it. They think it's this crazy thing, but really just give it a try, have fun, and if you mess up, you still have pasta to eat. It's not like you're really like ruining some crazy art piece or something. You
Right.
still have food.
Okay,
Right.
well, I'm plating
Yeah,
up some of
please
this. So
give it
what
a
kind
try.
of noodle do we have here that you
So
made?
this is lumache. It's kind of like a rigatoni. It translates to snail in Italian, and it's kind of like a little curved rigatoni with some bolognese sauce. And again, the nice thing about fresh pasta too is it cooks in about a minute and a half,
did.
2
It
minutes.
cooked
Yeah, really,
so
really
fast.
fast.
I remember when you were really taking off, you started to
Yeah.
come out with some merchandise. Do you
Yeah.
still have that line?
I sold out of it really fast. I'm hopefully going to relaunch something here soon, and working on launching like my own brand of dried pastas in stores. So
That's
hopefully
awesome.
that'll get going.
So that's the money line in this one, right? So he's sold out of his merchandise, which he sells on his website, which is just t-shirts and hats, nothing fancy really. And he's getting ready to launch his product into grocery stores, packaged product of pasta, which he just disparaged packaged pasta a couple of minutes ago in the presentation. But now he's going to be selling it as well. I would think he would sell pasta kits, where it has the stuff where you can make it at home. Maybe that's coming up next. I don't know.
On here soon.
I think that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. And we love what you're doing on TikTok. We love what you made here.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
course,
And it's good
thank
to know,
you.
too, that when you roll out the pasta and you make it for some of your TikTok videos, you're giving some of that away.
Yeah,
And
giving it away, you know, all kinds of, there's hardly any waste. You know, I try to give it to neighbors or whoever needs it, whoever wants it, slide in my DMs, I'll give you some pasta.
I need to move next to you. Thank you so much,
thank
Ryan,
you.
for coming on today.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. All right.
Okay. So just a lot to unpack there, but I wanted to just point out that the ultimate goal of this is for him to support his brand, support his product, support what he's doing to make a living. He's not getting paid to come on the TV, but for those of you that are in some kind of food service, one real truism I learned long ago is particularly the morning TV shows. These people are really hungry because they get to work really early. And if you ever watch the Today Show or any of those shows, whenever there is some kind of food demonstration, everybody in the studio basically gathers round. So just kind of remember that as something that happens. So now, any questions, any observations anybody has?
I was going to say that's really funny because I teach a pasta making class. I teach a pizza making class too. I have a class on Saturday, but people absolutely love the class. And people have told me I should video it and put it on YouTube or, you know, something like that. But I'm just so busy.
Yeah. Well, I think that there are some platforms out there that make that a lot easier.
Mhm.
One of them is called Thinkerific, if you're familiar with that.
No.
I'll post that in the chat. Thinkerific is an online course generator, essentially what it does.
Mhm.
And it's free if you're just doing one course, and it's pretty cheap if you do more than one. But it also has the ability to upload videos, and then you can put all that on YouTube if you want, or you can keep it on this platform. But it's really easy to do. And I know several people from this program that have gone on. Tom Morse, some of you might remember Tom with his special plunger that he invented. He's created a course on that. And he kind of showed it to me, but it's not that hard to do. It would take you maybe a couple of hours to put it together. But it's got all the pieces, so you don't have to know, all of the detail. Anyone else? Any thoughts? Okay. So we're going to look at the interview, which goes into a little bit more depth that I think will be helpful. So let's take a look at that.
Presented by Entrepreneur. My name is Sean Walchef, founder of Cali Barbecue and Cali Barbecue Media. I want to give a special shout out to Toast, our title sponsor for this show.
Sorry to keep interrupting, but I don't know if you listened to what that guy, when he introduced himself as the owner of Cali's Barbecue. And then the next thing he said was, and Cali Barbecue Media. So he's got a barbecue restaurant or a product, and he has a media company. So this is just a trend that I see emerging really fast.
Believing in smartphone storytelling. I'm so fired up for today's interview. For those of you that don't know, we spend a lot of time in this community, this podcasting community, on an app called Clubhouse. And Clubhouse is an incredible app because it's what we call deep social. It allows you to meet creators, business owners, and so much of what we do on this show is not just talk about restaurants, not just talking about influence, but we talk about what's happening in the creator economy. And in life, in the restaurant business, and in the creator economy, we learn through lessons and stories. And today we have
just to kind of reiterate about Clubhouse. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that. The thing about Clubhouse that I like is it's audio only. So it's not a video thing. So you don't need to have quite the setup to participate, but it does have a lot of communities of interest. And I had talked to some people who actually launched their company on Clubhouse. to communities of whatever their product was or service. There were so many people in there that they were able to launch their product as one of their launches to launch on Clubhouse. So that's just something to be aware of.
Ryan Peters of Peters Pasta. You can follow him at Peters Pasta on TikTok. 2.9 million followers, 99.5 million likes. So hopefully when this entrepreneur episode drops, he's going to be breaking 3 million and he's going to be breaking that 100 million mark. You can also find him at Ryan Peters PGH on Instagram. You can find him on YouTube, on Facebook, on all the platforms. Ryan, what up, man? Welcome to the show.
What's up, Sean? Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk with you today.
So we met on an app called Clubhouse, which I mentioned, and I want to go back to Clubhouse and tell me a little bit about. Actually, before we do that, our favorite random question, which is, where in the world is your favorite stadium, stage, or venue?
Stadium, stage, or venue? That's a tough question for me to answer. I'd probably say I'm partial to where the Pirates play here in Pittsburgh, PNC Park. In my opinion, it's like the most gorgeous place to watch a ball game. Like the city opens up in the outfield. It's beautiful.
Beautiful. So PNC Park, we're going to convince Entrepreneur, we're going to convince Toast, Davo, Sales Tax, Atmosphere. They're all sponsors of the show, but we're going to bring people together. And what we're trying to do is transform hospitality. We're going to try to think bigger. And the people that are going to come to this event are not just restaurant owners, not just food entrepreneurs, but creators. We want people to understand that the creator economy is here. If you're a business owner, you have the opportunity to build a platform using a smartphone. We're going to fill the stadium with people that are playing the game within the game. So people that are really trying to level up. And I'm going to put you right on the pitcher's mound and I'm going to say, Ryan, 2 minutes. I need your 2-minute drill. Who are you and what do you do?
Who am I and what do I do? Yeah, so I am a chef turned full-time content creator. I started out as a young kid, always wanted to be a chef. Kind of all I've ever wanted to do was be around food. So I followed that path for a while, kind of went the traditional route of, going to culinary school and then just getting right into the industry, and spent some time working in the private club world and then restaurants and hotels and fine dining, and thought for a while my life was going to, steer towards that Michelin, best chef in the world. That's what I was chasing. I wanted to be, in that world. So I chased that for a while, fell in love with it. And then eventually my life shifted towards pasta, and I found this love for pasta and kind of got obsessed with it and shifted my career towards working in restaurants like that. And then ultimately it all kind of funneled into where I'm at now, which is just kind of being able to put myself out there on the internet and through social media and do what I love and share it now with millions versus just, maybe a couple hundred people every night in a restaurant. Now I'm sharing what I love with millions every night around the world. So it's kind of transformed into me building my own brand and making a name for myself through social media and being able to be a content creator full time and kind of just travel the country and make pasta and share it with the world.
When did you become a content creator full time?
I became a content creator full time. I left the restaurant I was at in, I think it was April of last year. So
okay.
Only about a year and a half full time, which is crazy to think about. I was doing it kind of full time, but part time, because I was still in the restaurant for about 2 years, just kind of juggling both and kind of working like crazy, working like a 12-hour shift and then coming home, making content, posting it, doing all the stuff. But eventually got to a point where it didn't make sense to be doing that simultaneously. So about a year and a half.
About a year and a half. So for those of you that are listening, I'm really excited about today's episode because we get to dive into TikTok, the platform, the opportunities that it provides. It's why we tell every restaurant owner, tell everyone that's in sales, even the people that are in marketing, everyone wants someone else to do it. But what you've done is you've built this platform, you've built this following. Now it's your full-time job. Bring me back to TikTok, bring me back to the first post. And I know I actually went back through, you've got a lot of videos, but I went back through, found the first post, and it's done really well, but I know that's because of your following now. So a lot of people have seen that video. Tell me about the first video. Why'd you get on TikTok?
Yeah, so I got on TikTok just kind of randomly. So I'd always enjoyed social media and content creation. I was never great at it, or at least had the response that I was looking for, but I enjoyed doing it and putting myself out there, mainly through Instagram. And then in 2019, July of 2019, my younger brother and his girlfriend were visiting my wife and I, and he's younger than me. He was in college. And all they were talking about was TikTok, TikTok. And I'm like, what is this app, man? Like, this is dumb. He showed it to me. It's just, stupid, silly videos. But I ended up downloading it, and I decided to post a video of me I think it was rolling Cavatelli on like a little gnocchi board. And that video got like 500,000 views in a day. And I was just like, holy shit, this is insane. I had I was getting, like maybe 50 views in a day on Instagram, which was great. I was just ecstatic.
Sure,
about that.
50 is a lot of people.
Yeah. So to see this though, it was like, man, this is insane. But I also thought like, okay, maybe there was like a glitch. Like this did not just happen. Like I was at the casino maybe, and I pulled the wrong thing, and something like the bells and whistles were going off. I didn't believe that it was actually real. So I didn't actually like jump into it full steam ahead right away. I like kind of stayed away from it because I was like, I just got lucky. But then, as the weeks went by, I started posting a little bit more, and I saw that there were like, real opportunities for my content on the platform. And it was relatively easy to do at the time. It was just like, I was doing it with my phone at work or whatever at home. Like I wasn't setting anything up. I could film it in a couple seconds and just put it out there. So I kind of fell in love with the app of just the ease of connection.
I think one of the critical pieces here is the DIY aspect of this. This guy has done all of this himself. He doesn't have a big marketing company. He just said he shot videos that took a couple of seconds while he was at work. So I just wanted to make the point that it is possible to do this without a big budget.
I was able to have with the audience. There was, zero barrier to entry. So July of 2019 was when I jumped on, and took me a couple of weeks, but then it kind of just became the go-to for me.
And then, so as you're making these videos, talk to me about, because it's short form video, and we call it smartphone storytelling because it covers all platforms. And one of the biggest troubles that I have when I'm talking to business owners or restaurant owners in particular is we see a logo or a name like TikTok or like Twitter or like Instagram, and we all have feelings. We have subjective feelings towards the platform. And really what the internet wants is authenticity. It wants storytelling, and it wants it in a short form, bite-sized content. TikTok has literally changed the game for social media, and it's allowed people to do what you're doing. You had a career in food as a chef, wanting to be a Michelin star chef, and now you're a full-time content creator that's only at the beginning of, this global audience that you're building. Talk to me about the evolution of the videos.
Again, just to highlight a point, what the host just said to the guy is, you're just at the beginning of building a global audience. Think about that for a second. It's not building an audience in your neighborhood, your town, your county, your state, your country. It's global. And I think that, not every product or service lends itself to that kind of scope, but it's the power of the ability to be a content creator and the power to reach an audience. And you have to, this guy makes pasta, which I assume is something people really are interested in, and he demonstrates it in a compelling way. So I think his content is particularly good and lends itself. So I'm not saying, and everyone's going to have to kind of figure that out for themselves. But I did want to point out that this guy is sitting in his, it looks like a bedroom with sports jerseys on the wall, building a global empire by himself. It just cracks me up personally. I just think it's unbelievable. So anyway.
Of when you first started. First, for those that are listening, obviously we're going to put a link into the show notes. You guys got to go follow Peter's Pasta. It's absolutely, one of my favorite TikTok accounts. But nonetheless, tell me about the actual videos themselves, the evolution of how did you change? Because you have a very specific niche, but you do some really cool stuff with it.
Yeah, in the beginning, it was all very simple. I got really, I don't know if it's luck or what. A lot of it's luck, but you know, I would just post videos of the beginning stages of making pasta, of just me pouring the egg yolks into the flour or mixing the eggs, and people fell in love with it. Like, I mean, I was racking up views by the millions very, very fast. So it was a lot of that in the beginning, a lot of just, you know, taking pasta out of the pasta extruder and cutting it, and, you know, just these like almost satisfying type videos was a big part of my brand early on. And I'm thankful for that stage of my brand, because like that built me up very, very fast, and you know, did a lot for my following. But since then, I've kind of evolved it into more, you know, obviously now all the travel things of making pasta and all these kinds of crazy places with different teams and athletes and celebrities and all these things. It's kind of been an evolution, and I still see it. I still see, you know, even though I'm coming up on 3 million followers, I look at my account as like still the very infant stages. There's still so much that I can do with my account, because I've kind of taken it slowly with the evolution of it. Which, you know, short term maybe was a downfall, because maybe I wasn't capitalizing in the beginning. But I think long term, it now gives me the opportunity to kind of keep growing at this pace. You know, I'm the type of person, like, I wasn't chasing that like super big spike. I was just looking for that nice steady grind, and I found it. And I found a formula that works for me.
Now, when you're looking at your videos, how do you judge yourself? Are you an analytics? Are you an analytics person? Are you looking at comments? Are you looking at engagement? How do you know what's working?
Yeah, I really try not to anymore. I used to be like really obsessed with the analytics and everything, and I would drive myself almost insane, you know, trying to judge why, you know, I could have videos that were very similar, but why did this one perform 10x than what this one did? But I found now, just kind of as I've grown as a creator, that, you know, if you focus solely on these numbers and all these types of things, it can kind of steer you away from what the content is that you're actually trying to produce, and it can kind of put you in this direction of making it almost worse, like doing the opposite of what you're trying to do, because you're focusing on things that are totally out of your control a lot of times, because, you know, it's all these algorithms and things that we have no idea how they work, you know. So I think at the end of the day, like, if you're putting out good content, I'm a firm believer that, you know, the views are going to come regardless. So I kind of shifted away from obsessing over these analytics and numbers, and just trying to on a more personal level elevate my content to just be better than yesterday.
So one of the things that we hope to do with this show, and we're so grateful that, you know, Entrepreneur has given us this platform to reach millions of people all over the world, is to inspire the people that work in the hospitality business to know that there are other ways to make money. There are other ways to supplement your income. Can you take me back to when you were a chef and you were also doing videos? How did you manage that? And what advice would you say to anybody that's listening to this, that's thinking about, hey, you know, I do something really cool. Maybe I should start filming this, and where do I go next?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this first. It's not easy, like, to work. I mean, everyone knows that works in the industry, like the food industry, the restaurant industry is extremely tough, no matter what level you're in, whether it's fast food, fast casual, fine dining, whatever. Like, it's a tough lifestyle. But with that said, like, I mean, if you can balance, or at least get some sort of balance, maybe it's not one post a day, maybe it's one post a week. Anything is better than nothing, right? But I think, you know, I've had this conversation with a lot of peers in the industry where it's just kind of me trying to almost sell them on the creator lifestyle and everything. Maybe not to go full time, but like, there's big opportunities out there that I see so many friends that I know, like maybe they're working at a burger joint, but I know that they love fermentation.
So what he's talking about here, what Ryan is talking about, is the size of the opportunity that he sees as it relates to his peer group. He's about to talk about, you know, maybe you work at a burger place, but you're really into fermentation, or you're somebody who loves to bake bread, or you know, any number of things. The point that he's making is the global audience for content that they can relate to, that they can connect to, or that align with their interests is really hard to measure just how big it is. I mean, just in the US alone, the population supposedly of internet users is somewhere north of 250 million people just in the US. In China, it's 900 million users, and on and on. So what he's saying is that the opportunity for growth is really unprecedented, particularly to a small business without the resources, without the capital to do all this stuff, right? And in the old days, you'd have to really spend a lot of money to do this kind of thing. It's no longer true.
And making pickles at
Yes.
home. I'm like, yo, just like get on here. And
Make a
post
pickle
it.
channel.
Yeah, like let's talk about it, and let's, you can build a following that you'd be surprised that like
Yep.
people love pickles or whatever it may be. That like I got lucky with pasta, like that was my thing, and it translated very well, and I was able to kind of do it cohesively with working in restaurants. Again, it was like I was basically working 2 full-time jobs, but at some point I saw, both financially and just on like a level of like where my brain could go, that like, okay, maybe this doesn't make sense to be doing both of these. Maybe I need to make this hard decision of maybe I need to jump out of the only industry I've ever known and make this leap, because I see the opportunities that are there.
I mean, I love it. And I love your story, because so many creators want to be business owners, and it's how do you make that leap? But now we have the opportunity, literally, with
Right.
all of these apps, with all of the things that we have available to us, the barrier to entry is gone. There is no barrier to entry. It's literally
Yeah.
just the time that you want to put into the craft.
Exactly. I mean, I tell this story a lot. So in early fall of 2020, I was doing great on TikTok. I had like maybe 200,000 or 300,000 followers, ecstatic about, but I was still working full time. I had no dreams or any even visions that this could be possible to do full time. I was, still planning on working in restaurants till I die. And at this time, my wife and I were expecting a child in like the next like 2 or 3 months. In December of 2020, he was due. So I was freaking out, as any, first time parent is about to do. Like my life's about to change. And it kind of all happened almost at a perfect time. But in October of 2020, I posted a video, and I posted it at 9 o'clock at night. And at 11 o'clock, I went to bed and I checked it, and it had 2 million views.
Wow.
And I remember saying like, holy shit, like this one is, I've never had that, sort of traction that early. So I was like, man, this is wild. And I woke up to 12 million views on that video.
Wow.
And that was October of 2020. By the end of October, I went from 300,000 followers to 1 million. My son was born in November of 2020. I decided to take a month off from the restaurant I was the chef at. And during that month, I was still, obviously I was, caring for my son, helping my wife, but I was still able to make content at home. And it was at that moment that I realized, oh my God, like I can be at home with my family, still make a living, because I was able to then make money doing this content while I was
Yep.
at home, and still love to do what I get to do. That was at that moment that I realized, like, okay, this is a real business. This isn't just like a little fun little side.
So I don't know if you all are familiar with how monetization works in this stuff. Forgetting the brand for a second. Mr. Beast, who we've talked about before, who is from Greenville and is the leading content creator on YouTube from a financial perspective. I believe he made $36 million last year. The way that works is they actually monetize ads that run in the case of YouTube. And I'm not 100% sure how TikTok and all these other ones work, but all of them have some monetization functionality for your video. So he just commented that he was able to stay home with his new baby, and he was still making a living because he was getting money from his content that he created. So I want to point that out. I'm no expert on monetization, but I know specifically in the case of YouTube that you can make a lot of money if you have lots of views of the content. And this guy clearly is getting lots of views.
something. This is real, and I need to make the move. So it took me like 4 or 5 months from there to leave the restaurant, just because I was terrified. You know, there was a safety net. You know, but I mean, it's the best thing I ever did.
That's awesome. Can you bring us back to the first brand deals? So the first time that somebody reached out to you, how did it go? What did you learn? And what's the evolution been like?
Yeah, there's been a lot of them. I don't even know if I know the specific one, but I know that I definitely undersold. Like, I mean, like a lot of creators do it. We don't know, like, especially like, I think food creators specifically, because we're not, I mean, I guess it's any genre, but we're just not creators. So we don't know this market. We don't know what our value is. So I undersold.
Well, at the same time, brands don't know the value either.
Right.
They know they need
TikTok,
it. They know
too.
they want it, but they don't know
Right.
what the value is. Yeah.
Right. So, you know, for me, for brand deals, it's been an evolution, because I've never been the type of person to do many. That's just never really been my thing with my brand. So I started out and did a couple that were like maybe for like a couple $100 a piece, which was great. Again, this was when I was still working in restaurants. So I was like, man, this is great. Like, you know, babe, we're going out to dinner on Saturday night if I get off, you know, this is great. But then I've been able to kind of transition it into doing more strategic partnerships, where it's like, I'm not a fan of like the one-off, like, hey, post this video, you know, send us the analytics, here's a check. I'd rather have like, okay, let's sign a 6-month contract and let's, you know, set up long-term. And because for me, like, if I'm going to do something with a brand, it's got to be, like everyone says, something I believe in, something I like, but like, I want it to be something that my audience can get to know. Like, they almost like associate that brand with me. You know, that's important for me, because I think that as we build these communities, these brand partnerships are very, very valuable. I look at them as like a very valuable thing, that if I'm going to attach my name to, and if this brand is going to attach their name to me, why not make this long-term, and why not like really build a true relationship?
Well, yeah. And it's also, it can't be transactional. This isn't something where you talk about.
So what he's talking about here, that I just want to point out, he used the words, as we build this community, right? And that's what this is really all about at the end of the day. It's building your community for your brand, your product, your services. That's really the objective. When we talk about first party data, it's your community, not someone else's community. So even though in this case, this guy is using social media and other things, what he's talking about is his own personal goals and his own personal beliefs. You know, I want to have long-term relationship with my sponsor. This is my community. I you know, my personality, my brand, my reputation is on the line, and same for the brands, right? So that if you think about that, going back to Simon Sinek with the infinite versus finite, this guy's an infinite thinker. Because what he's saying is, he's not focused on how many bags of pasta is he going to sell tomorrow, right? What he's focused on is building a community of people who enjoy, in this case, learning about pasta or whatever. But that's his objective. And when you think like that and you talk like that, you will start to attract support from sponsors who think in a similar way. You know, everybody's trying to get the word out, even big, huge brands. So this is a method, it looks like a pretty solid method for a sponsor in this case. Hey, you want access to somebody that's got 30 million people, you know, that's worth some amount of money to you as a sponsor to be part of this. But more importantly, I think this guy has a lot of integrity. He's not just, you know, jumping about trying to make a buck. He's got a plan. He's got a plan to build a community over time, a sustainable community. Several times during this interview, he's talked about going slow, deliberate, purposeful. He's not running around like a chicken with his head cut off. He's thought about this, and maybe someone's advising him. Who knows? But his whole approach to me comes across as so authentic and so oriented toward building a community of people who have this commonality of interest, in this case, pasta. So I just wanted to make highlight some of those things that he's saying.
One type of pasta or one, something specific in one of your videos, and then all of a sudden that's going to lead to all these sales. What actually has to happen is this is why we work with this thing, and it's going to be integrated into the content in a natural way, not into an advertising, hey, buy this thing right now because it's a Black Friday, Cyber Monday special.
Right. I mean, and that's the thing is, I think I've tried to even educate brands on this that want to look for that type of one-off thing. Like there's going to be very little return for you. I don't think you understand how this works. Like we need to make this a true partnership, because you're not going to get the return you want. I'm not going to, because the video is going to very underperform for me. So why not we be more strategic and really build a true partnership and a true campaign for how we can implement this. That way, both of our audiences know that this is real, this is genuine, this isn't a little cash grab for me. This is a real thing.
So when you're dealing with now, have you done any outreach yourself?
Oh yeah.
Tell me, how many times have you reached out?
A lot. So, man, I haven't done it as much as I was, but I'd say
yeah, the reverse funnel's happening now. People are reaching out to you. You have to filter those.
Right, which I'm so grateful for. But in the beginning, especially when I wanted to do all the different things with, teams and sports and all these different brands, I would literally go to a coffee shop every morning, basically Monday through Friday from 9 to 11. And I would just look up on LinkedIn, look up on Google, look up on tourism pages, and just cold email, cold call all these places.
Who specifically in the companies were you reaching out to?
Anybody. I would look up first, I would go on LinkedIn first.
LinkedIn's amazing. For those of you that aren't using LinkedIn, it's just an unbelievable tool.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I would look up whatever, let's use Walmart, for example. I would search Walmart social, Walmart marketing, Walmart digital. If I couldn't find anybody, I would connect with anybody I could at whatever the company was, and just, intro myself, tell them what I'm trying to do. A lot of times they were like, no, whatever, or it didn't go anywhere. I never got a message back. But for every 1 out of 100 I did, there was usually a genuine conversation to be had, and usually it turned into something.
For every 1 out of 100? Is that what you said?
I'd say that's probably a good.
Did you guys hear that? 1 out of 100. So you have to be relentless. If you want this in the beginning,
So this to me is very interesting. He basically said that Monday through Friday for 2 hours, he cold calls people on LinkedIn, emails. He's not calling on the phone, I'm sure. And he said 1 out of 100 turns into what I would call a hot prospect, if you will, somebody who's genuinely interested and wants to have a conversation. I don't know about you, but I had never worked that hard in that way. I've never, just doggedly contacted people in a mass way. Just not something I've ever had a reason to do. But it's not hard to do. I mean, it's relatively easy to get a LinkedIn account. It is true that just about everyone in business has a LinkedIn account, much more so than Facebook or some of these others in terms of companies. So that's just that's an example of a mentality of effort, continuous effort, and even 1 out of 100. I don't know if that number he just made that up or that's true, but the point is he's doing it. I mean, he's out there contacting people and telling them his story, and I've never done that. I just think it's really admirable.
Want this as bad as we know that you want it, as bad as we wouldn't be here without Toast, we wouldn't be here without Atmosphere, we wouldn't be here without Dadvo. So you have to be willing to put the time, the effort, the dedication in to prove that you're worth something. Talk to me about the stadiums, the professional teams, the opportunities. How many stadiums do you have a list? Professional stadiums?
I don't. It's a lot. It's a lot.
A lot of NFL teams. A lot of. I mean, your page is full with incredible mascot content of you teaching a mascot how to make pasta.
Yeah. So that whole series kind of happened by luck. It was last year, in the summer of last year. I was, the pandemic was kind of opening up. Things were happening again. And just like everyone else, I was sick of being at home. So I was like, man, I want to do something, because I had missed out, because a lot of my blow up on social was during the pandemic when we weren't traveling, we weren't,
Yep.
collaborating. So I missed out on like all the really fun stuff that creators get to do during that time. So I was like, man, I want to do something. So I was fortunate. I already had relationships here in Pittsburgh with the Steelers and the Penguins. So
I'm sorry. I just want to point out some things. He missed out on all the fun things that a creator can do. I mean, think about that mentality and that perspective. He is actively trying to have fun. I mean, that's one of his core values, is to have fun doing this. And I think if you're behind a stove in a restaurant for 10 years, you might have that attitude as well. But I think that's a very telling sign that how anxious he was to engage with people.
I reached out to them and I was like, hey, can I just come make pasta at your stadium? They were a little like weird. They were like, why? And I was like, it'd be fun.
Do they have TikTok accounts? All
They do, yeah.
All the professional sports teams now that you work with have TikTok accounts.
Correct. Yeah,
Good.
everybody's all on there now.
Good.
So I did those two, and that was fun. And I got a couple teams that had commented on those ones, like, hey, like, just fun little engagement. But none of them had followed me at that point. I was like, man, I need something. And then I think one of the really early on ones was the Chicago Bears. They're like, hey, you want to come to, they had like a big like preseason like fan festival or whatever. And at this time I wasn't getting like, expenses covered. I wasn't getting paid, nothing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I told my wife, I was like, babe, I think
This is an
I need
opportunity.
to do this.
Yep.
And she's like, well, what do you mean? She's like, are they paying you? I'm like, no. I was like, I'm gonna drive there tomorrow. So I ended up driving
Right. Seriously, but it's so important for you to tell the story, because people don't get it. Like, people expect that, you have hundreds of thousands, millions of followers, and all of a sudden you're going to get travel paid. You're going to get all these easy content deals, long-term deals. No, this is an evolution.
Right. I had to
But
bet
you
on
have to
myself.
hop on the opportunity. If you believe in what you're doing, you knew that doing that would lead to all the other things. I mean, you probably didn't know at the scale.
I didn't
but-
know.
Yeah.
I
So
had
bring me
no
back.
idea.
Bring me back to the wife. Talk to me about telling your wife, hey, I know you have
I told her,
a small
and she-
son, but I've got to go to Soldier Field.
I'm a young family now, and she's like, what do you mean? Like, are they flying you out? I'm like, no. I was like, I'm going to drive out there. She's like, where are you staying? And I was like, I don't know. I'll figure it out when I get out there. But I know, like, I was like, I had this feeling that I had to do this. So I ended up driving out there, got a hotel, and then it was kind of funny. I forget how. I'll have to look back through, but I ended up connecting while I was out there with Benny the Bull from the Bulls and the Chicago White Sox. So I was able to bang out
Do you
three
remember how
huge
those
collabs.
happen?
I think just through TikTok.
Content. It's all through
yeah,
content, right? Yeah.
all through content. I was like a savage on like trying to be early to like brands that I want or teams that I wanted to work with, to their post, to comment, to try and comment early and get their attention. I would do whatever I could. And so I got both of their attentions, and so I was able to do the Bears, the White Sox, and the Bulls just on a whim of a quick road trip out there. And then actually, I remember too, now that I think about it, I was driving back from Chicago to Pittsburgh, and I commented on the Detroit Lions TikTok while I was driving, like at a rest stop, and we ended up setting up me to come to their game in like 8 hours. So I drove right to Detroit, stopped there, made pasta, didn't even stay for the full game, stayed for like 3 innings, and then drove back to Pittsburgh. So kind of bet on myself, figured that hopefully like the Bears video would be enough, and then ended up getting like 4 really incredible things just by putting myself out there and betting on myself. And that's kind of when it really kind of spiraled out of control, and now all these teams were coming to me and wanted to be implemented into my content. And at this point now, it's kind of taken a spiral out of control.
So I'm going to ask you a very simple question, but why?
Sure.
Why are the teams reaching out to you?
It's a great question. I get asked that a lot. I get asked all the time, why do these teams want to do something with you? You make pasta. And it's very simple. From the conversations I've had with all these teams and all these leagues, the NFL, the MLB, all these things, they're trying to grab this younger audience that they can't grab. These kids, this younger demographic does not want to watch live sports, but it can be as simple as if they're scrolling on TikTok and they see Peter's Pasta, who they love, making pasta with the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, hey mom, can I get a Chiefs jersey? It was actually funny when I did the the Kansas City Chiefs last December. We were setting up on the side of the field before the game. And I was cracking my eggs, separating the eggs. The cheerleaders were there, the mascot was there, and there was a stadium tour going on. And these kids screamed out, "Peter's Pasta, Peter's Pasta." And I was like, man, this is really, really cool. Like, so it's been fun to kind of see that. But yeah, it's been interesting to watch, just being able to blend my audience with these teams and kind of just mesh them together. And it really works really seamlessly.
I mean, it's an incredible world that we're living in, you know, here recording this in 2022, knowing that every business, every brand on earth, we all need content. We all need storytelling. We all need something for the attention. I mean, we're all, you know, spending hours a day on the smartphone. And, you know, if you make quality content and you collaborate in the right way, in an authentic way, then you can have these incredible opportunities. Can you talk about the actual collaboration itself, you know, the nitty gritty, when you get down to collaborating with a team? Are you you're agreeing to post a video on your channel and provide them a native video for their channel? How does that work?
It's different for every single one. Each one is like very, very, like, it's almost case by case. I always offer to, like,
what's the most successful? If a brand is listening right now, an entrepreneur, you put this on your website. If a brand wants to reach out to you, what's the most successful steps that they can, not just working with you, but any other food content creator that's successful? What's the best way for them to approach
what
it?
exactly?
What's the best way for them to approach working with you?
I mean, I think that it's important to understand the platform that you want to work with, whatever the creator is. I think, like, I'm a firm believer that TikTok is very different whatever the creator is. You know, I think that, you know, some brands or teams or companies, whatever, you know, kind of fall into certain categories with different creators. But I think that just kind of being open, kind of letting the creator do the creating, right? Like, I think that's very important. You know, I've had some conversations with brands that, you know, they want to, you know, lead the way creatively. And it's like, listen, you're the one that reached out to me and you want to do this collaboration because you see what I'm doing and you obviously see the value in that. So, like, let me do that. Let me, like, just give me some trust. And, you know, sometimes it doesn't work out. Like, I'll be honest, like, sometimes, like, these videos just, like, fall flat, but, like, it's okay. Like, we can move on, we can try again, whatever. But I think just being open to that and letting these creators do what they do best, and just being able to implement yourself being the brand into that.
Okay, I'm going to stop there because I unfortunately have something else I have to do in a little bit, but I'll post the link to this in the Facebook group, and it'll be it's on YouTube, this particular video, so I'll give you the link to that. But any reactions, any feedback from you guys? Come on now.
I think it was great. It's still just crazy. What he was saying about the analytics, I guess I would, if we could maybe get somebody who specifically does that, so I can kind of understand it better. Because, like I was telling you last time, that's where it's like still an on and off, but then it's like I still see all these successful business, for example, like Clorox. I've never seen a Clorox TikTok, Instagram, like nobody even knows what this guy looked like, and he still makes $1 billion. So it's like, really, maybe if we can get somebody who the classic marketing versus the new, maybe. I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, what he and I hear you. What he said was he started really obsessing on analytics, and then he completely ignored them and no longer uses them at all. So you know, Warren Allen is the guy that is a Google expert who he is going to teach our class or be a guest, and he'll go into that with you. I don't know exactly when that will be. He's out of the country for the whole month of February, so it might be the first week of March. But that kind of stuff is important, but it's really tertiary to the bigger point, and that is be who you are and get out there in front of, you know, like in his case, one of the things he just said before I stopped the video. He said, you got to be sure your brand aligns with the audience, right? You may not be a TikTok person or company or brand. It just may not be the right place for you. And the point of all this is really building a community. So how do you build a community? You can build a community on LinkedIn. You can build a community on YouTube, Facebook. There's lots of different places you can build a community, but it has to be relevant to you and your business. So as far as the tools and the tactics, some of that kind of stuff, I'm no expert on it. Warren is, and there are other people. Warren's the only guy that I know personally that I can call and ask him to do this for free, which is always, that's my thing. Hey, Tom, you want to be a guest speaker?
Right.
Like this guy, you ain't getting paid nothing. So anyway, I have to pick and choose. There's not that many that want to do that for free. But anyway, I think the bigger point here is you as a business owner have to find your community, your tribe, if that's the right word, your people, your shared interest group, all of those euphemisms. That's what's really important. Branson, what are you going to say? Okay. All right. I thought Branson was going to say something. My fault. Okay. Well, that's all I have for today. Tomorrow, we're going to start talking about category design, which may be new to some of you. I think it's a real core thing you have to understand that will actually make sense, particularly after watching this video today. So I guess that's it. That's it for now. And again, one more time, anybody have anything they want to say?
No, that's it. That was very interesting.
Good. Well, thank you all. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.